God created the earth in 6 days. I relapsed in 4. We are not the same. Hi, hello, and welcome to the video. Yeah, Sober October didn't go to plan. Now, I don't want this video to be a pity party of any sort. I know that I fucked up, and I just wanted to let everybody know how and why I chose not to commit. But you know, it's not all doom and gloom, so let's start off with some positives, shall we? First off, I have not had a single drop of Dr. Pepper since the month started, and honestly, that's kind of the biggest achievement for me so far because it is my biggest vice, so I'm still pretty proud about that. Secondly, I have started running again, and I am currently getting a workout regime started, so that's pretty good. Man, I gotta tell you, that first day, getting back into the grind of things, wasn't too hard. Wasn't too hard at all. Not until the next day. The next day was truly a bitch. Call me Kingdom Hearts because I was fucking sore. I was so damn sore the next day, let me tell you. Couldn't even fucking do this, you know, stretching, anything like this was all just sore, especially my legs, my shoulders, my non-pecs, my boob pecs were so damn sore. I think I ended up doing, 60 or 70 push-ups, and I ran a good bit. Not 2 miles, but I ran a good bit, so your boy was feeling pretty fucking sore. But I gotta say, that's the good kind of pain. If there's any kind of healthy addiction, it's that kind of addiction to really just get the burn going, getting that drive to go out and run and be physically healthy. You can obviously overdo it just like anything, but if you're gonna have any kind of vice, I think that's the best kind. It's not even a vice, it's just really good habits to just try to, improve yourself physically. And once you improve yourself physically, you improve yourself mentally. You look good, you feel good. But now that the positives are out of the way, let's get into the negatives. Let me tell y'all how I fucked up last night. So yesterday was a Sunday that I haven't had in a long time. This was a typical Sunday for me growing up. Watching the Cowboys lose, which they did yesterday, eating some bomb-ass burritos from Esperanza. If you haven't had any burritos from Esperanza's, do yourself a favor and get you some. I highly recommend it. But more importantly, I actually got to spend some time with some of my immediate family. We don't get to do that as much as we did before. Obviously, everybody's growing up and they're living on their own. So it was nice to be able to spend the day with them, even if it did mean watching the Cowboys lose. Now, after the game was over and we said our pleasantries and our goodbyes, I ended up going home, and when I did, I had myself a nice little nap. Whenever I woke up from said nap, your boy was feeling kind of hungry again. Not gonna lie, I kind of have an appetite. So I head out into the town, wanted to get some grub, ended up getting some Chicken Express, and at this point, it's about 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, so I know I am not going to be getting any kind of sleep. Once I take a nap and I wake up like 2 hours later, I just have all the energy in the world, and it's so difficult for me to just go back to sleep. Without the help of any kind of medication, sleeping pills, or weed, I just can't do it. I don't understand how people can just go to sleep at will. I really wish I had that power, but I just wasn't wired that way. So once I get my food, for those who relapse, you kind of already made up your mind before you made the decision that you're gonna end up, doing your vices again. And that's exactly what I did whenever I got into the car just to go get the food. I already knew that there was a good chance I was gonna be stopping somewhere. So after I get my food, I made the decision to stop by a gas station and pick up 2 sour apple 4 Locos. About 14% alcohol each. Now, why did I choose to do that? Pretty simple. I did not want to have a sober and boring night ahead of me because, like I said, I wasn't going to get any sleep. So if I'm going to stay up, might as well be fucked up too. So I get home, I eat my dinner, and then I just throw those 2 drinks down. And guys, let me tell you, it was a fucking awesome night. I can't lie to y'all. I can't lie to y'all. I had a nice fucking time last night. I ended up making Demigod in Mortal Kombat 11, which if you play the game, you'll know how difficult and stressful that game can be. So that was nice. But I also ended up playing a lot of quests on Skyrim. I'm playing Skyrim for the first time since it's been released. And honestly, that's more embarrassing than anything I'm going to be saying in this video, at least to me. So the night's going pretty well. I'm pretty inebriated, and I'm thinking how tomorrow's gonna go, because I didn't forget that I needed to do a video. So my options were either come on here and lie to y'all and say that, because nobody saw me buy the drinks. It's not like the cashier at the gas station was like, oh, hey, I know you. You're supposed to be sober. What the fuck? That'd be wild. That'd be pretty wild. So, you know, obviously I could just come up on here and lie and just be like, yeah, it's going well. I'm doing great. Which is not the case. I'm not a good liar, so that wasn't a good idea. Number two, I could have easily just ignored everything and not done a video, but the reason why I didn't want to do that is because I had so much fucking fun making the first video, not gonna lie. And now the third option, which is what you're seeing right now, is just for me to come clean and be honest with y'all and said, hey, I fucked up. I said I was gonna go sober, or at least try to go sober for the month of October. And I didn't. I failed. I failed in my goal, and for that, I just want to apologize. I should have been on the ball, but obviously, I just was not ready. But I'm not too down about it. I am embarrassed a little bit, but, you know something funny? This kind of pales in comparison to the time that I was the most embarrassed. Let me tell y'all a story about the time that I really fucked up. Have a seat. We're going back to 2012. Hope it was a good year for y'all. So in 2012, I was about 16, 17, and I was really starting to harness my musical capabilities a lot more, really getting into the groove of things. And I was going to these performance schools where basically you would learn cover songs, and then at the end of a slotted time, or at the end of 2 or 3 months, you ended up performing them in front of a crowd at an actual live venue. There's a lot of places like this, but the problem that I was having was distance. A lot of these schools were pretty far out. Far out, dude. No, they were really far, and it was kind of a pain just to get to practice, even on a weekly basis. But number two, I was kind of the oldest kid there on average most of the time, so I needed somewhere closer that I can, perform my craft, but I also needed to perform it with kids my own age, just so I can really have the most fun and I guess really hone in my craft the way that I was meant to, and really the way that I wanted to. Now, the place that I ended up staying at for a long time was this organization called School of Rock. Now, School of Rock is an organization, like I just said, where you get a group of kids and they all get assigned a song for each instrument. Maybe this kid's playing bass on one song, kid's playing keys, so on and so forth. And at the end of a specific amount of time, 3 or 4 months, we learn these songs and then we play them and perform them in front of a crowd, no different than most of the schools that I was going to at the time. However, a lot of the kids were my age, so I felt comfortable, but at the same time, I was still the new kid at school, quite literally, so I didn't make that many friends. I'm not a social butterfly, like, at all. Very introverted, if you could say. And yeah, I just didn't have many friends. I ended up going into the season. We had these things called seasons, and they had specific themes. Maybe one season would do only 80 songs. Maybe one season would do only Kiss songs. You get the idea. So this season, we were doing what was called Warped Tour. We were doing covers of bands that performed at Warped Tour. For example, Escape the Fate, Sum 41, bands like that. And I got into the game pretty late. I actually only had 3 weeks to prepare for my songs to play in front of a crowd for the first time with School of Rock. Not my first time performing by any means in front of a crowd, but my first time performing with them. So I was pretty nervous and excited. I really wanted to make a good name for myself. And boy, I did not. It gets close to the show, and I only have 3 songs that I had to learn, and they were all on guitar, and they were all fairly easy. Almost too easy, really. So I learned my songs, and everything's going well. The practices are going well, and I'm starting to, the ice is starting to melt, and I'm starting to become a little bit more comfortable with my friends or with my associates and my surroundings. And so the show comes, and we play at this place called Magnolia, the Magnolia Lounge and Bar, if I'm not mistaken. And the whole time that the show's going on, see what happens, since they have this large group of kids, 14, 16 amount of kids that are learning these songs all together, different songs. A different group of kids will go on for one song, and then another group of kids will go on for the other songs. And that's kind of, just rotate them out. That's kind of how School of Rock concerts work. And so I'm not really talking to anybody. I was getting more comfortable, but I didn't really have that many friends just yet. So all I literally was doing at the show was tuning my guitar. If y'all play guitar, y'all might know this little thing called a Snark tuner. It's this little thing that you place on top of the headstock of the guitar, and it helps you tune. Well, for some fuck reason, I don't know why to this day. Maybe it's just to make tuning down or tuning up a little easier, but there's a button that you can press on that Snark tuner, and it will say that your guitar is in standard, or let's say, for instance, my string is an E, right? I'm tuned to E, but in actuality, it was actually tuned a half step down. I don't know why they'd have that option, but the whole time I was tuning my guitar, and it was telling me that I was in standard when really I was a half step down, and I didn't know it. So I get up on stage, and the first song that I'm playing in front of this crowd is a song called A Beautiful Lie by 30 Seconds to Mars, if I'm not mistaken. Now, we had practiced the song obviously before, and it went off without a hitch. It's a pretty standard song, but whenever I get on stage, well, it's kind of supposed to sound like this. Right, like I said before, nothing too special, I guess, nothing too flamboyant with the guitar playing. However, since I was a half step down from everybody else, it ended up sounding like this. Yeah, I had my hood on the whole time. I had my fucking hood on the whole time while that was happening, and oh my god, I just wanted to crawl in a hole and never be seen again. At least after the fact. Because while I was on stage and I was hearing this horrible sound, I was just like, what's going on? It couldn't have possibly been me. I spent the whole show, like literally 45 minutes, tuning my shit to standard. I can't be out of tune. I just can't be. So the song mercifully ends, and I check my tuning with one of the school tuners, with one of those big boy tuners that I was actually supposed to use. There was a lot of people telling me, hey, you should use our tuners just in case, and I didn't listen. And whenever I go to tune my guitar, there it is, D sharp, in my fucking face. I was a half step down the whole fucking time. Yikes. It's funny to think about it today. I actually ended up being out of tune just by sheer incompetence on the next song. I forget what it's called. I totally forgot what my second song was called. But I was on the closer. I was doing Fat Lip by the aforementioned Sum 41. And that was the only song that went kind of well. My mom has video of this, and I don't dare show anybody it. Maybe one of these days, but yeah, it was cringe. Doesn't even begin to describe it at all. So yeah, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed, so embarrassed. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, what happened next? Surely you didn't go back to that school. Surely you did not go back after such an embarrassing display. That was my first song with my first concert ever with School of Rock. Surely, I did not go back. Well, I did, and don't call me Shirley. Now, I was heavily embarrassed, and I was even more pissed after the fact because it was just such a simple fix, you know, just being out of tune like that. But even more so, it was such a simple song. All I really had to do was move my arrangement up one fret, and everything would have been fine. But I just wasn't thinking about it because I spent the whole time tuning. It's so funny to think back, but I did go back. And one of my teachers at the time, he actually was surprised. He said there's a lot of kids that fucked up the way you did, and they wouldn't show their face around here again, because that's just such a horrifying thing for, you know, a young person to go through, a young teen to go through, to just shit the bed on stage like that in front of thousands of people. No, I'm kidding. It was like 50, but still, that's kind of even worse. It was so intimate, and it was so embarrassing for me to just deal with that. The thing that made me go back, at least, was retribution. I wanted to make good on the fact that I fucked up so horribly. Now, School of Rock ends up usually doing about 2 to 3 shows at the end of what we call seasons, like I mentioned before. And so I had a second chance at this, and the second time, knocked it out of the park. I was so happy, but honestly, if I fucked up again, I probably wouldn't have gone back, but I didn't. I did not fuck up again, and now I look back with such laughter, because that was without getting too personal, that was my most embarrassing moment by far. And now I bring up this story because it kind of ties into what happened with Sober October. I am embarrassed with the fact that I only lasted 4 fucking days before I relapsed again, before I started drinking. But you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world, because first off, I got some positives out of this. With the show, there was no positives. But for this, I do have some positives. I haven't drank Dr. Pepper in a minute. That's fucking hard. I'm getting my workout regime going on again. That's fucking hard. But this is a setback, but it's not the end. It's not the end. Just because you set a goal for yourself and you don't make it, it doesn't mean that you can't set that same goal and achieve it. Maybe not for me, for Sober October, because if my math is correct, we won't have another October for a year. So on that front, for that theme, I won't be able to achieve it. But the whole point was just to get myself healthy again, get myself fit, and I can still do that. Yeah, I fucked up. I almost said we fucked up. Y'all didn't do anything. Y'all are awesome. This is on me, and I wanted to be straight with y'all. There's no reason to lie. There's no reason to feel any shame for being embarrassed, because it's all part of the learning process, and I'm not quitting just yet. I'm not quitting at all, actually. I still want to continue to try to better myself physically and mentally. But with that being said, I truly appreciate everybody that has been watching this series, I guess, so far, and hopefully I'll see y'all on the next episode. I'll be giving y'all more updates and another story. I kind of have a theme going on where I tell y'all how I'm doing in life and then tell y'all a bit about my past life. And to be honest, I'm really, really enjoying it. So thank you all for watching. I hope that you have a good day. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Ciao.